Diffusion. What is diffusion? It is the spreading of particles across a concentration gradient. For diffusion to take place, one area has to be of higher concentration and the other area has to be of a lower concentration. For instance, when you spray your perfume, where you spray the perfume is of higher concentration than the other parts of the room. So the particles of your perfume will spread across the room, mixing with the particles of air. So for particles to spread out, they must mix with the particles of the carrier medium. The arrangement of the particles, the energy of the particles will affect how quickly, how easily the particles will move across a given medium. Therefore, diffusion is faster in gases, slower in liquids, but slowest in solids. So comparing the speed of diffusion in the three different states of matter, rate of diffusion increases as you go from solid states through liquid states, then to gaseous states. So gases diffuse faster, substances also diffuse faster in gases. Comparing how pairing the states can affect the rate of diffusion. Gas in gas diffusion will be faster. So say methane spreading in air. Gas liquid diffusion will also be really fast, like when you spray your perfume in air. Perfume being made of a liquid that is very volatile can easily turn to gas and spread across. Having water particles spread through air or air in water. Solid particles spreading through air also relatively fast, like when dust particles rise and they are carried by the air current. That's quite fast. When you mix miscible liquids, like having soda in water, the two liquids mix together very quickly. And when you have soluble solids in a solvent, they can easily dissolve over time and the particles will spread out through the solvent. However, when you have a solid placed on a solid, unless you get to break the solids into tiny particles and mix them together, the solid particles may not get to mix at all. So solid-solid diffusion is almost impossible. Factors that affect diffusion. There are many factors that may affect how easily particles spread through a medium. Examples include temperature, relative mass, concentration gradient, solubility, and stirring. Temperature. At higher temperatures, particles of matter acquire more energy, and the higher the energy of the particles, the higher the kinetic energy would be. So the particles move very quickly. This increase in kinetic energy will aid diffusion. So at colder temperatures, diffusion will be slow. At warmer temperatures, diffusion will be fast. Secondly, relative mass. Particles with smaller masses move faster than particles with larger masses. So let's say for instance we have carbon dioxide. When you calculate the relative mass of carbon dioxide, you get 44 grams per mole. How do we get that? Just take a look at your periodic table. Take the relative masses of the atoms that make up carbon dioxide and add them together. In this case, we have one atom of carbon and the relative mass is 12. And we have two atoms of oxygen, each having relative mass of 16. So 16 times 2 gives us 32. 12 plus 32 is 44. So 44 grams per mole of carbon dioxide is the mass of one molecule of carbon dioxide. If we compare that to ammonia, and we've calculated the mass of ammonia the same way, the mass of nitrogen is 14, and we have one atom of nitrogen in ammonia. The mass of hydrogen is 1, and we have 3 atoms of hydrogen in ammonia. So 1 times 3 gives us 3. 14 plus 3 is 17 grams per mole. Looking at the masses, we'll notice that ammonia is lighter compared to carbon dioxide. Therefore, ammonia would diffuse faster than carbon dioxide will because the mass of ammonia is smaller. Concentration gradient. When the difference in concentration between 2 points is high, diffusion will be really fast. Solubility. The more soluble a solute is in a solvent, the faster the solute will diffuse in that solvent. So dissolving enhances diffusion. And let's take for instance, we have sugar or salt in water and sand in water. Sugar and salt will dissolve in water, but sand will not. So the particles of sugar and salt, even without stirring, over time will spread in the water, making sugar water or salt water. Whereas sand will just sink to the bottom and settle out instead of spreading in water because sand is not soluble in water. Stirring. Stirring aids diffusion, and this is because stirring increases the rate of dissolving, thereby making diffusion also faster. Let's recap. Diffusion is the spreading of particles from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. Diffusion is fastest in gases and slowest in solids. Temperature, relative mass, concentration, and stirring are some examples of factors that may affect diffusion. See you in our next lesson.